Words matter, especially when it comes to the Quran that claims it has never been changed and it's been perfectly preserved by Allah. But there are many differences between the lower text of the Sana palimpsest and the Quran that we have today. We'll show you just a few of them right now. And we've been talking for the last few episodes on something called the Sana palimpsest. It's basically an early Quranic manuscript. In fact, it could be the earliest. And it's called palimpsest because it had a lower layer that at some point was washed off, and another layer known as the upper layer was written on top of it. Today, we are going to make some comparisons between the lower layer and the upper layer in terms of the textual differences. With me here to do all of that is Dr. J. Smith. Dr. J?
Back again, and we're on the Sana manuscript. We're on the palimpsest, and this is the one that you have studied in depth. You're very well aware of it. Much of what I'm saying is old hat to you. But we want to thank Asma Hilali because of what she did in her book. This is the book that she wrote that actually exposes for the rest of us who are lay, the people that will never have access to the manuscript. She has given us every page, and she has shown us where the variants are. So how substantial are those variants, and what do they do to the script? Because I'm getting a lot of Muslims who are coming back on me saying, Jay, don't worry about it. It doesn't change the meaning. It doesn't change the doctrine. It doesn't change the practice. This is nothing more than school text. They had to correct it because the students didn't know what they were writing, and they had to just simply correct it to bring it back to the standard text.
Didn't we use the same argument concerning the New Testament manuscripts, and we said the exact same thing?
They're mimicking us. They're just taking and that is true because when you do look at and we're very well aware that these are written by men. We don't have this need to prove its efficacy eternally because we don't make that claim.
Exactly.
We don't make a claim of eternality. Therefore, we know it's written by men. Men are open to scribal errors. Men are open to even changing words depending on the exigency, adding a word here to make it more clear later on, or even scribes adding words. If it's just the 12 men going with Christ, or did they go to the upper room, adding the upper room? The 12 who were writing the word disciple after that. That changes the script, but it doesn't change the meaning whatsoever.
And I want to just clarify what Dr. J is talking about. The Islamic claim is that this Quran somehow is written on a preserved tablet in heaven, and that's where everything comes from. We don't make claims like this. We know the Word of God is preserved in the heavens, but we do not make claims as our Muslim friends make because they have pushed themselves in a corner, and now they're having to come out now and try to come up with explanations for things, as we will show you.
It's even worse than that because the Quran itself makes that claim in chapter 85, verse 21 and 22. The preserved tablets that you're talking about are in the Quran. It's internal to the Quran.
Exactly.
It's also, the Quran itself makes that claim that it has never been changed in chapter 10, verse 15 and chapter 18, verse 27. And why does it never been changed? Because Allah himself preserves it. Word for word, letter for letter.
Chapter 15, verse 9.
That's chapter 15, verse 9. Right. So because the Quran makes that claim, Muslims have to make that claim. They're caught between a rock and a hard place, as we always say. So this is why this palimpsest is so damaging, because this shuts down and destroys that idea of preservation. It's obvious that the Quran was not preserved very well at the very beginning. Remember, we're talking about the earliest Quran in existence, the earliest palimpsest that we're going to get across. We're talking about the late 7th century to the early 8th century, late 7th century for the lower layer, early 8th century possibly for the lower layer, mid 8th century for the upper layer. So we're talking about, goodness sakes, we're talking about 70 to 80 to 100 years after Muhammad. You have two different layers with two different scripts. Shuts down chapter 10, verse 15, shuts down chapter 18, verse 27, shuts down chapter 15, verse 9, and especially eradicates chapter 85, verse 21 and 22. That's why this is so damaging. And that's why Muslims are they're suspicious. They are upset. They don't want the scholars to come to their conclusion. And so what they do, they say, Mr. Smith or Al-Fadi, this is not really substantial. This doesn't change a thing. We know that there's no doctrine change. There's no theology change. There's no practice. Let's see if that is the case. Let's just look at some examples. So let's go to the screen. let's go to the screen and let's introduce it. So we have the lower and upper textual differences comparing the Sana lower text with the 1924 Hafs text. So we're comparing the lower text, not the upper text now, the lower text, those 63 verses, with what we have in the Quran today. And let's just look at this graph here. Here you can see, this is from Hilali's book. She looks and she shows on the left side the lower text there, chapter 2, verse 87 to verse 96, and also verse 10, chapter 96, verse 105. Then you have chapter 8, verse 73 to chapter 9, verse 7, and also verse 16. And then so you can see all the way down, boom, 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 boom. There are the 63 verses that are there on the lower text on the left and the lower text on the right. And then on the right side of each one is the upper text. So you can see the upper text is not complete as well.
Right.
At least complete with what the cuffs we have here. But we're doing a comparison between these lower and upper texts. Now, what I want you to do, Al-Fadi, I'm going to go to the next slide. Look at the next slide here. And look and see what we see. Here is chapter 2, verse 88. On the left side is the palimpsest, the lower text script. And the translation in English is, and they said, our hearts are wrapped. But in fact, Allah has cursed them for their injustice. So little is it they believe. And the bi zulmihim, which is for their injustice. If you look at the Cairo text, the 1924 Hafs text, it's bi kufrihim. Right. So go ahead and unpack that and tell me what you see when you look at those two.
Well, when you look at both, I mean, the injustice or the word for dhulm, are we talking about judges who are not really implementing justice when they are coming up to verdicts? Are they not using God's law, for instance, and that's why the word injustice is being used? Are they abusing the law and favoring a certain class over the other? Versus when you talk about for their unbelief or kufrihim, here you're making a claim they're not believers at all. So who are we talking about? It makes a huge difference about the class of people you're addressing.
Absolutely.
And the action.
Okay, so that would be a doctrinal diff problem, and it'll also be a practice problem. So right there, you can see that is substantial. And that's just in chapter 2, verse 88, when you do a comparison.
Which considered, by the way, to be Medinan chapter, meaning like after Muhammad migrated to Medina.
It's a more recent one.
Right.
Here's another one of Medinan. This is chapter 8, verse 74. Now go ahead. I don't want to read the Arabic. If you can just read the Arabic on the upper left there, jahadu. If you could read it out.
Oh, you mean the one way at the top?
At the top on the left in brown.
So I'm going to try my best because this is basically transcribed or transliterated.
I should give it to you in the Arabic because you could just do it right off the top of your head.
جاهدوا معك في سبيل I think it's called في سبيل الله بأموالهم وأنفسهم. It's saying that a certain people have really strived with you. That's the word jahada here. How they strived or sacrificed with their givings, money, and also or wealth, and also their own lives.
Yeah, and there you can see it written right there. But those who have believed and immigrated and they did jihad, that's the struggle you're talking about, in the name of Allah, with their money and themselves and those who gave shelter and aided, it is they who are the believers. So we're looking at with the money and themselves. That is, because that is changed to jahadu fi sabilillah.
Fi sabilillah, yeah.
Now, that changed it to did struggle in the name of Allah. So where's this money in themselves?
Right. So now to use the 1924 version, there are so many forms you can strive in the name of Allah or for the cause of Allah. It's not just money and self. You can do other things to strive to please Allah. So it's doctrinal issue again now.
And a practice
What can
issue.
you do
Yeah.
to please Allah and claim that this is a jihad in the name of Allah?
Yeah, you can't use your money or yourself anymore.
Right.
This is just, in fact, they took them out of there and just said, just strive in the name of Allah.
This is a general statement, technically speaking, versus a specific statement as in the Sana
They
manuscript.
took the specific out, okay? Can you see why this is damaging? I'm going to do one more before we move on, before we end off this. And this is on chapter 9, verse 2. Go ahead if you can lead, because this is talking about Allah and His prophet. Or is it you take the name of the prophet out? So on the left side is the Sana palimpsest, and here they have wa'lamu anahum. I don't want to do there because I'm desecrated, but that know that they do not escape Allah and His prophet. So you've got the name of the Allah and His prophet, whereas in the Cairene edition, which is the Hafs text, it just says, no, you, not they, and cannot escape Allah. So therefore, it's taken out the whole Jewish idea that his prophet is included in this.
I tell you what's so interesting about this particular thing. It's quite possible that you can argue, let's for the sake of argument, that the one in Asana palimpsest was dealing with Muhammad as he existed. So there is a challenge now. You cannot really basically escape from challenging Allah and him. The 1924 probably recognized that, they relied on something, I should say, that says, Muhammad doesn't exist, Allah still exists, so now we'll make it just against Allah.
No. Yeah. Just one before and we're going to end with this one here because we have some more we want to go to in the next episode. But have you noticed that they call it the prophet and they don't use the word Muhammad here?
That is true also. I mean, there's so many things you can unpack here, obviously.
Muhammad named is only found 4 times in the entire Quran. Right. This would have been a place they should have put it if they were going to standardize it. You can see they took not only the prophet out, they also took his name out.
Yeah. That's again. I hope people are seeing the damage that is being unpacked for them right now, especially our Muslim friends. I'm hoping that if you're watching this series, please look at it from just an academic standpoint, from the fact that we're revealing things to you, and we're saving you even the trouble of reading the book or the other books or the other sources, and we're unpacking it for you. For the purpose of you, go ahead and investigate it. I mean, we invite you to go and investigate our sources, investigate what we just shared with you, and decide for yourself. Does this tell you that a Quran that is in your hand is truly 100% perfectly preserved? That's the question. Dr. J, what's next?
We're going to continue with this, and I want to go on to, again, stay in chapter 9. I want to go with the chapter 9, verse 9, and then I want to get your take, because you've not seen it. This is the first time you're looking at them. I also want to look at verse 13 and verse 17 and verse 18 and verse 80.
You mean I haven't seen the slides? That's what you mean.
Yeah, the way I put it up here, I want you to see them, see like side by side. I want you to come up. Having not seen this before, I want you to just give me your reaction. That will be in the next episode.
Very good. Thank you so much, and thank you, everyone. Hopefully, you will join us back again next time. Until then, have a blessed day. Thank you for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel, CIRA International, and click on the bell so that you receive notifications whenever we publish a new video or go live. I would also like to appeal to you to consider becoming a Patreon patron by clicking the link right below. By doing so, you can give towards the production of these videos. There are also other options for you where you can give to our channel. I thank you from the bottom of my heart.